Is growing your own food actually any cheaper? You might be surprised with the results. The real answer is, it really depends. Now, for example, if we bought a packet of cabbage seeds, at the moment they cost me about $4. In there is about 100 seeds, so potentially 100 cabbages. If I buy myself a punnet of cabbage seedlings, at the moment they're about $3.50, sometimes $4, depending. If I'm super lucky, I can get them on special for $2.50. Now, if I want to buy a cabbage, at the supermarket last week, the cabbages were $5 for one cabbage. That's a lot of money for a cabbage. So hypothetically, all things being equal, yes, it is cheaper to grow your own, especially if you're growing them from seed. But gardening isn't all about just seeds. There is a lot more to it. There's a lot of infrastructure required, and there's input as well as time required. So is growing your own food actually cheaper than buying it at the store? For a typical growing season, I would tend to spend about $70 on a load of wood mulch, which if you're lucky where you live, you might be able to get that for free. I do buy about 3 bags of seed raising mix, which costs about $30. $60 worth of seeds and seed potatoes. If you save your own seeds, then obviously you can do less of that. And about $50 on lime, blood meal and other incidentals. That comes to about $210. This is enough veggies to feed us for at least 6 months. At the supermarket, we'd usually spend about $30 a week on vegetables, so over 6 months that's $780. So growing our own garden saves us about $570 over the course of 6 months. My top tips for growing a garden to save money would be 1, focus on food that you enjoy eating. 2 would be focus on food that is expensive to buy in the store. Tomatoes, strawberries, peas, beans, squash, rhubarb, leaf lettuce, any kind of baby vegetable, baby beets, baby carrots, baby greens, baby onions. All of those will give you much better bang for buck if you grew them at home. Fresh herbs is another thing. If you can get yourself even some pots on the side of the windowsill and grow your own fresh herbs, they are so much cheaper to grow from seed or even from little seedlings, and you'll just be able to keep cutting them and getting more and more rather than buying them once in those soggy little containers and having to throw them out once they all go limp and sad after a couple of days. Food that's cheap to buy, like potatoes and onions and dried beans, they need a lot of space to grow them, and they're a lot more economical for something with a tractor to grow them than for you to try and grow them in your own backyard. You're much better off buying those really cheaply in bulk from somewhere and focusing on the more fancy foods, the ones that you can grow at home that cost a lot more at the store. When we're talking about whether growing your own food is cheaper, it's not just about the vegetable garden. Growing your own eggs, I would say definitely cheaper, especially if you're letting them free range. Free range eggs are so expensive. Raising them yourself, free ranging the grass is costing you nothing, and they eat less feed. And I have a great video about feeding chickens for less, which I'll link at the top for you as well. If you're talking about raising meat rabbits or meat chickens, on the other hand, you do need to be aware that they eat a lot of grain, and you are not going to be able to outcompete the grain prices for the big producers who get huge discounts. If you're growing your own meat, it's not going to be to save money. It's going to be because you know where it came from and you know what it ate. So, is growing your own food cheaper? Yes and no. And it depends how much you want to put into the infrastructure, how willing you are to get the cheap free stuff, and how much effort you're going to put into doing it yourself. I know that starting a garden can be really overwhelming, so I have put together a course and a book which will definitely help you. You can check those out in the links below, and I will see you in the next one.